have to judge whether each of the words being presented is a real word or a non-word, and press a button to indicate that. And after each judgment, you're given a letter, and you have to record that letter in memory, and then later you have to recall which of the letters you saw. So this distinguishes between short-term memory and working memory, because for short-term memory, you have to be continuously rehearsing it for it to stay in memory, whereas working memory does not have to be rehearsed. And they found in their 42-subject study with 20 training sessions of 30 to 45 minutes each that they got better on the trained task, big deal, but they also got significantly better at 3 of the 5 untrained tasks. They showed transfer to 3 out of 5 tasks. They did not show transfer to their IQ tests. That was a bit of a surprise. But they did show something that was just as cool. The people got better at reading. You know those like reading comprehension tests that you take with you when you do like an SAT or something like that, where you read a paragraph and you have to answer questions on them afterwards? They got better at those, which is a lot more real world than a lot of the other kinds of things that people see. So doing this task might make you a better reader. Unfortunately, there isn't an open source free version of this training task yet. I'm trying to find somebody to program it. I don't have the time, so anybody wants to implement it, come talk to me, and the world will love you and be a better place as a result. Let's skip this, maybe get back into it later. Oh my. Sorry. I thought I had this in here. I'm just going to quickly mention some of the stuff that I talked about last time because it's really cool. So there's this substance called creatine, and you might have heard of it. Bodybuilders use it. It's used for maintaining high levels of ATP availability, and that's cool for bodybuilders because they like to work out and make their muscles big. But it's also really cool because it improves ATP availability in the brain too. So it improves your brain's ability to have access to energy, and that allows neurons to fire for longer bursts before they get tired. And that's important for stuff like working memory because neurons in the principal gyrus tend to fire in large, strong bursts, and that firing is correlated with in this case, monkey. The monkey's remembering what it is they were trying to remember. But that could also mean that if they stop firing, that the monkey would forget. So if the neurons get fatigued, they forget. Creatine helps prevent the neurons from getting fatigued. And a study was done in 2003 in which they investigated whether blah, 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 it makes people smarter, improves performance by about 1 standard deviation, and improves digit span by about 1.5 digits. And it's cheap, and it's free, and it's safe. There's also a couple of other stuff. There's modafinil. Modafinil is pretty awesome. It helps you concentrate and focus. And paracetam improves verbal learning and verbal memory. I think that's all I'm going to talk about right now. Any questions? Let's see. You were first, second, third, fourth. Question. Creatine will make you gain a little bit of fluid weight. Modafinil is a drug and has a few side effects, far fewer than many of the other stimulants, but it is such, and you should treat it such. The question was, any negative side effects to any of those things? Paracetam makes some people sleepy. Dual NBAC training, I've heard a lot of interesting reports from that. Some people claim that it makes them really fatigued. That's actually not that common. A lot of people make it feels them really energized and jazzed. Some people say that, gives them a headache or makes them hallucinate. I don't know if there's causation involved in those things. Next question. Next question back there somewhere? Yep. Gotcha. So the question is, what was the name of the technique that improved reading comprehension, but for which there was no currently available software? The technique is, as far as I know, only called the chain complex working memory task. And that's from Chain et al. 2010. I can give you the reference later if you want. And then over there. Oh, the question is, why are we seeing those effects in cognition? Very excellent question. So it's probably not that we're training working memory capacity. That's probably not what makes these things work, but rather that we're training the ability to update the contents of working memory. I'm very glad you asked that question because I totally meant to talk about this. So the dual NBAC task requires you to simultaneously access and update content in your working memory. And it's probably that influences the ability to do better on other things, because in normal life, you don't just have to remember things. You have to remember things and change things and mutate the contents of your memory. There's another study that was done fairly recently that looked at a pair of tasks, one of which involved updating working memory capacity and one of which didn't, and then another control task, and compared those and found that specifically the one that had the updating component improved the kids' performance on other tasks. I think that's all. Do you have another speaker coming up? Yes. Okay, Dave, are you ready? All right, I guess I can take one more question while he's plugging in. Question? Yes. The question is, have they done any functional MRI to see what parts